Now, around these parts, we stan Youssef Zalal, the Moroccan lightweight fighter. He is one of the more intriguing fighters in the division. You think Morocco, you think Badr Hari, kickboxing, and while his kickboxing is great, he actually has more submissions than he does knockouts. Now, it's a club and sub approach like we saw this weekend with Jack Shore at UFC Edmonton. How he pulled that off was absolutely great. He really is one of the best up-and-comers in the division. And despite his 16-5-1 record, he took Ilia Topuria the distance. So before we get into this, please take a second. Think about subbing to our Substack. $5 a month and you get videos and articles like this. This one's on the house, guys, so it's free. The whole thing's free. But if you sign up for Substack, it will be beneficial to the channel. I'll make better videos. We'll get to do Fight Finders 5 and so much more. He's a very good fighter. Today we're going to be looking at a couple of the things I liked from Youssef Zalal's win over Jack Shore. Now, Jack Shore is a Welsh wrestler. Jack Slack calls him the Welsh GSP, jab and shoot. That's what he's really good at. And Youssef Zalal dealt with this very, very effectively, as given by his second round knockout. Now, we're not going to go into the clinch work and the stuff here. I want to talk about the knee, because the knee was the highlight of the fight. And that is really what put him apart. Now, before we get into the knee, first we have to understand Youssef Zalal's approach is the low kick. And Jack Shore, as animated right here, checks the low kick, which is either lifting the leg or, in Jack Shore's case, he retracts the leg backwards. Now, we can see that's not all bad for Youssef Zalal because, he throws his kick. Now, what Jack Shore is hoping here is that he throws this kick and he throws himself off of position. But you'll notice the kick, while it does land a little bit, Shore pulls his leg back. But look how Youssef Zalal does not overextend on the kick. He doesn't kick all the way through. Now, this is something that we've seen before. This is a very common thing that we've seen when it comes to one of the bigger stars in the UFC. And I'm talking about Alex Pereira. Now, we've talked about Alex Pereira's shortcut kick in the past, and if you go back and look at this kick here, let's go back to our slideshow. Look at this kick. He's not turning the hips over. This is something that Alex Pereira does. He knows his kicks are strong enough to where it doesn't hurt as much because he's not putting as much behind it. So it's not causing as much damage, but the damage he causes is enough, and he doesn't kick too far. He doesn't turn his hips over, so it's hard to read. Jack Shore had a good read on it. He had a really good read on it, and early in the fight we saw Zalal do that. So this is how Pereira's shortcut kick works. Notice his hips in frame 1, he's set up. Hip frame 2, you notice his hips and his shoulders are not all the way turned over. And I feel like that's better illustrated here. So on the top, we have him throwing a right low kick against Israel Adesanya. And you can notice his, like I said, his hips don't turn over. He doesn't throw himself out of position. But look at the bottom here at Jose Aldo. Look how far he has to come back, which leaves him open to the right cross counter. This would leave Youssef Zalal open to the right cross counter too now. He has to turn his hips all the way over so you can see it coming. And I miss these Jose Aldo kicks for sure. But Alex Pereira, Poatan's shortcut kick, as he calls it, is absolutely fantastic. And that's what we see from Zalal in the early goings. But he would abandon the low kick because Shore was pulling it back. And that means, he's looking for the takedowns. And, of course, Jack Shore did manage to shoot a couple takedowns, and Zalal did a good job of negating and fighting the hands against the fence. But that's not really what won him this fight. He did. Obviously, it is important to get rid of the takedown threat. Okay, so I don't want to minimize that ever. That's a big part of the game plan. But what's major here is the threat of the knee. And obviously, the knee led to that big knockout in round 2. But it was set up in round 1. So look at this right here. 2 minutes to go. Youssef Zalal, he is in southpaw. So you'll notice he switches a lot. That's going to be a theme we talk about in a second here when we rewind to his Billy Q fight. But notice here, he starts out in southpaw, comes up with a big knee, lands an orthodox. So watch that. Right knee comes up. Now his right knee's forward. The right foot's forward. and he's an orthodox. But that sets up the left knee. So you'll watch, there's a knee, he throws a strike, and then another knee. Basically him switching stances and really making sure, second guess about ducking in on a knee. Hint, hint, this foreshadowing. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. So I want to rewind a little bit again, and I want to talk about how Youssef Zalal uses his motion and the switching of stances, because the switching of stances is very, very important here. So let's go here. We're talking the Billy Quarantillo fight. It was a short notice fight. He wasn't supposed to win. Billy Q was supposed to, it was just him getting back into the UFC. So we start the first frame off on the left, and Youssef Zalal is going to his left. You see his right foot is forward in southpaw. And then he plants in frame 2 on the right side. He plants on that back foot, launches off of it in frame 3, and lands the knee. And then after landing the knee, you'll see frame 4, he creates distance. So Billy Q wanted to grapple with him. This is similar to Jack Shore wants to grapple with him. We didn't get much of this from Youssef Zalal in this fight, but it was assuredly part of the game plan because we know Jack Shore's coming to wrestle. And we see a lot of the pivots from Zalal in this fight. He didn't really need to create the space because Shore kind of did not want anything to do with these knees. These knees were vicious, and he knew it. And after Youssef Zalal threw the first knee, he knew, oh, I need to get on my P's and Q's. So let's go to the next section here. Again, Youssef Zalal going right. This time, he's, if you look at frame 2, in orthodox. But instead of throwing that knee, he throws out the jab and the cross. Now he will shift to the side here. Notice he switched stances. Number 5, he's going to throw that left knee. He's in southpaw again. That left knee comes to the body, and then look, boom, creates space. He wants to create space. He wants to punish you for clinching. Deter the clinch, avoid the clinch. That's his game plan right there. And if he has to get into the clinch, he will go to the fence and fight hands. Now, let's go to Jack Shore. So before actually, so now let's go and fast forward to Jack Shore, how he set this up. We're going to see the stance switch. We're going to see the knee. So remember, the low kick was taken away from him by Jack Shore retracting his leg. So he said, okay, this isn't working. So he started jabbing with Jack Shore more. Now Jack Shore's got a decent jab, so he had to work with the trickery and the tomfoolery here, and it worked. So let's take a look here. Youssef Zalal, right hand forward, so we're southpaw. He throws a left cross. Now, that's a southpaw strike, but he brings his left foot forward and puts him in orthodox. Frame 3 here, he will bring his feet back together, and he's switching back to southpaw. He really likes working on southpaw against the wrestler. So he's in southpaw. Notice he will pivot around, still on that right foot, and then frame 5 takes that right foot, brings it back. We are in orthodox again. Now this is very important because this is at 4:37 in the fight. Okay, so we're at 4:37, and the left knee happens at 4:32. Okay, so it's right after this exchange. There's a little bit of a feeling out, but he stays in orthodox, and the left knee comes on home. And look at it right here. Boom. Left knee right up the middle. Lands as Jack Shore ducks in on it. See that first frame? Now the second frame's in here for a reason. Okay, remember I said he planned to pivot out and create space. That's why we showed you the Billy Q sections here. Notice where he is after that knee. His right foot is forward. So it was, I'm sorry, I think I misspoke earlier. I think I said he was in southpaw. He's in orthodox. I did say orthodox, never mind. That right knee comes in, but he lands on his right knee forward, and he's in southpaw, and Shore's going down, but he's getting ready to create space there against the guy who's shooting on him. So he knows the shot is coming, and he knows, hey, throw the knee to stand Jack Shore up. Maybe it'll land because it's a devastating blow, and it lands. Now he goes in, he sinks the arm triangle, and just calls it a day there. Quick night at the office for Youssef Zalal. So yes, we stand Youssef Zalal around these parts. We love Youssef Zalal. He's fantastic. He's a fun fighter. Went the distance with Ilia Topuria, so he's great. We know how great Topuria has been, so I'd like to see Zalal climb the ranks a little bit. Now we did mention
the legs
Alex
of his
Pereira
opponents with his own quote shortcut kick. Joe Rogan goes on about the technique obsessively, and it is quite effective. Over at a slight angle and does not turn his hips over nor his shoulders.
Right rear kick, round kick,
right roundhouse kick. But when an opponent takes up a southpaw stance,